Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So yesterday I actually did a video talking about a free agent that I think the Jets should consider on the defensive side of the football. It was linebacker Rashaan Evans, former Titan, former Falcon, and of course I wanted to list off a couple of conditions, not just, the Jets should be full steam ahead, let's sign him immediately. Number one, I want the Jets to bring back Quan Alexander. That's the first condition here. If they want to bring back Quan, then obviously there's not going to be enough room for, Rashaan Evans as well. And then the second condition was, okay, well, if you get past that first parameter, you don't really want Quan. Maybe he's asking for too much money, whatever the case may be. You have to make sure as a defensive staff, Jeff Ulbrich and co., that you can get more production out of the pass coverage skills from Rashaan Evans. Okay, so I'll leave that video listed down below in the description box. In this one, I really wanted to talk about an offensive free agent. Okay, now there's a ton of talk around Dalvin Cook, and rightfully so. One of the best running backs in the league. It's a realistic chance here that the Jets could actually sign him on a one-year contract. I think if you could make the money work, that would be flat out awesome, right? I mean, not only is Cook just a great running back, and this is actually a point that I've talked about a lot before in the past, where it's like, yeah, the Jets would be signing Dalvin Cook. You're getting a huge boost at the running back position. Whether or not Breece is 100% healthy or not, you're still getting an absolute stud at RB here. Yes, of course, he's going to help out the team, but you're also taking him away from the Buffalo Bills, the Miami Dolphins, right? And, you can make that argument for a couple different guys, but that's a stance that I feel really, really good about. And unfortunately, though, you can flip it and say, hey, well, if the Miami Dolphins sign him, now they're taking somebody away from the Jets potentially. So, a bunch of different ways that you can look at it. But here's the deal. Dalvin Cook is not going to just sign this 1 year, $1 million deal. He's not going to be coming in at the vet minimum. And we're looking right now at running back, the real question, why is Dalvin Cook even being talked about with the New York Jets? Okay, it's because Breece Hall, well, A, they're in a win now mode with Aaron Rodgers. You got to win a Super Bowl within this small window. But then B, Breece Hall's health. As we all know, had the ACL injury last season. If Hall isn't 100% healthy by the start of the regular season, then it's like, man, you know what? We could use that extra help. We could use that extra running back depth here. Somebody to carry the load in those first, whatever it may be, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, first month of the season. I mean, we look at the Jets' schedule. Obviously, wins are wins. Wins are extremely important, but we got the Buffalo Bills, the Dallas Cowboys. I think we got Kansas City on the first day of October, New England in between, and also in the first month. I think it's September 27th. The point is, the Jets have a very difficult schedule out of the gate. Yeah, I want to be firing on all cylinders. I want to have the most talent as possible to start out. Now, of course, I'm not a doctor here. I don't know Breece Hall's timetable. I don't know when I know the expectation from the Jets organization is he should be good to go by week 1, but we've heard them, on multiple occasions be wrong before. Especially with Mekhi Becton. Just a strange situation. We could also bring up the Mike White rib injury last season. Just really weird, but I digress. The point is, we don't know what Breece Hall is going to look like in a couple months before the start of the season, and it doesn't hurt to be safe rather than sorry. So let's assume for a second, because let's be honest, it's not like it's just the Jets here bidding for Dalvin Cook, and they're the only one in the room. We got the Dolphins, we got the Bills, we got the Broncos. I've heard some rumors too about the Dallas Cowboys, and supposedly there's a quote-unquote sleeper team for Dalvin out there. So we'll see how it plays out, but let's just play into the hypothetical for a second. The Jets don't land Dalvin, right? He wants $11 million a season. He goes to the Dolphins, whatever it is. The Jets don't land him. But they still, as an organization, as a coaching staff, want to add somebody to the running back room who can supplement some of Breece Hall's volume. Who are the available options? I think there's one. I think there's a couple, really a handful of guys that make sense. But the one player that I wanted to highlight in this one is Leonard Fournette, former Buccaneer, former Jaguar, former top 10 pick. Now, I know a lot of you guys could probably be having the same reaction that I first did when I thought about, when I asked this question initially, right? Who the Jets could add at running back, not named Dalvin Cook at this point in the offseason. I'm thinking, is he a little, he's up there in age, never really plays a full season, not what he once was. I don't know. But then I said, you know what? Let me dive into the situation. Let me watch what Leonard Fournette did last season. Go back, rewatch some of it, take a look at the numbers, reach out to a friend who's a Buccaneers fan, just kind of get his take. And I gotta say, I actually think it would be a good signing for this Jets squad at this point in time. So right off the bat, Leonard Fournette is 28 years old. He'd be coming in on a relatively cheap contract. Leonard Fournette is not going to be asking for $9 million, $8 million, $7 million. You could even say that there's probably like a $6-7 million difference in between what Fournette is going to get and Dalvin Cook is going to get, which I think is significant. Again, at this point in the summer, it's one thing to open up free agency. It's the legal tampering period. Okay, you go with your top player. You can figure out the money later down the line. But at this point, a lot of teams already have their rosters figured out. And granted, there's a lot of good running backs out in the open market, but if we're talking about a difference of $4, $5, $6, $7 million, like that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money that you could either save, flip, or go acquire somebody at the trade deadline, pick somebody up off like a veteran player that doesn't make the team elsewhere. That is a lot of cash. We look at what Leonard Fournette did last season for the Buccaneers. He had a pretty nice season considering that he only started in 9 games. He had 668 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, 3 receiving touchdowns, and he also had over 500 receiving yards. And I want to hone in on that last stat for a second, the 500 plus receiving yards. I believe it was 523 to be exact. That number for a running back that isn't really like the lead, like he's only starting in 9 games here, to rack up over 500 receiving yards at that position is really, really impressive. For context, a little bit of perspective here, he had more receiving yards. Think about all the Jets weapons, right? Last season, a lot of people were really excited about the potential. We have a lot of depth here, a lot of guys that fit Mike LaFleur's system, some newcomers. Think about all those guys. And now think about Leonard Fournette having more receiving yards than Braxton Berrios, Elijah Moore, CJ Uzama, and then Corey Davis had literally 13 more receiving yards at 536, and then Tyler Conklin had 552, so like 30 more receiving yards. So you're telling me, and look, we have to be realistic, we have to be objective here. The Jets roster had Zach Wilson and Joe Flacco and also Mike White throwing them the football, whereas Fournette had Tom Brady. And the Buccaneers had a ton of different weapons. It's not like defenses were just honing in on Fournette and he's just dominating every single week. We have to be fair with that statement. But I gotta say, to look at Leonard Fournette, a running back, to have comparable stats, receiving stats, as 5 players, 5 offensive weapons that the Jets possessed last season is crazy. I think that's really, really impressive, and it should not be swept under the rug. And I'm thinking, okay, one-hit wonder. Was it just one great year? No. We go back to 2022, he had 454 receiving yards. Overall in 2022, 812 rushing yards, 8 rushing touchdowns with 2 receiving TDs. Leonard Fournette has been able to carry some of the load for the Buccaneers offense. He's not just a name. He's not just, the former first-round pick. And I think at this point in time, yes, you can make an argument for a lot of guys. And in fact, I actually have a video that's done on that topic. I just have to do the editing for it. And Fournette's actually one of the guys on that list. But man, when we just take a look at the numbers, granted, this is my personal opinion here. What I saw from Fournette when I went back and watched him and kind of understanding the conversations that I had with a friend that watches he actually covers the Buccaneers, it got me excited to think about a potential late June, early July signing, a summer signing, a cheap signing that could supplement some of the load that Breece Hall might not be able to, carry. Now, of course, we still have Bam Knight and Michael Carter, 2 guys that I still like. 2 guys that I'm pumped that they're on the Jets roster. I'm not writing them off, but I think again, when we look at the macro perspective, look at the scope of the situation that the Jets are in right now, I don't want to be asking questions before games. I don't want to be doing recap videos saying, man, you know what? If Breece Hall was healthy, I think we would have been pretty okay in this one. Or, man, we really could have used some extra firepower offensively to keep up with Mahomes and the Chiefs or Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. That's not where I want to be. This is win now. No more question marks. Lay out the most talented team possible. And if Fournette could come in at a relatively cheap contract, comparing him to the other free agent running backs out there, specifically Dalvin Cook, to me, it could make sense. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Are you in? Are you out? Are you even thinking about running back right now as a position to add? Or are you looking at the room saying, yeah, it's not really a need? So I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch. It really does mean a lot. Thanks so much. And as always, go Jets.